Hello, everybody. It is me, Seventh Hanuman. Open invitation for tonight's live stream. I do have someone joining me, Golden Bear, a former guest, will be returning tonight. But if you're a targeted individual and you would like to join in on this live stream, I provided the link in the comment section. Feel free to join in and share your experience and discovery, or just complaint about your problems with gang stalking. I'm waiting for Golden Bear to join in. So I don't have much else to say about this gang stalking. Everything just feels the same when it comes to the TI community. Like I mentioned before, next year I will be showing all of you the faces of these gang stalkers. And once you know the faces of these gang stalkers, a new chapter will begin for the TIs. So until then, practice no fear mentality. You must understand no fear mentality, because the gang stalkers uses fear as their source of power against the TI. Hey, C Black, sure, ask the question, or you can join in on this live stream if you like. What is your question? Let's see here. Let's just analyze some video in the meantime. Let's see what kind of new videos is out there. C Black, do you still have that question? Okay, so I found some gang stalking videos. Let's watch them together and analyze the video.
A lot of times demons can cause.
Okay, here we go. Share screen. Here we go. So I've never seen this video before. Okay, well, C Black got a question now. Let's check out his question first. I'm okay, but I get V2K every day for over a year. One day I was at work, I closed my eyes, and clear as day, I've seen a bunch of people waving guns. They tell me every day they are coming. You ever heard of that? So what you're saying is you getting V2K for over a year, and one day you close your eyes, and with your eyes closed, you saw a bunch of people waving guns, and the V2K tells you or told you that every day they are coming after you. Is that what you're saying? Well, my answer to that is they're full of shit. And you got some dumpster stained gang stalkers, just like mine. Don't live your life worry about people with guns coming after you every day, because every day you will realize no one's coming after you. That's all you got to know. The V2K, their biggest advantage over you are lies. I call their bluffs many times. They're full of shit. What I do is I use my phone. I recorded myself saying "f you." Well, not abbreviated, but the word "f you," the real words, and played with VLC player on loop, extremely low volume. So you should do that next time you're at work, but make sure you turn it down, the equalizer, and turn all the volumes down, all the decibel down. So even at max volume, you can still barely hear yourself saying it. And then just keep that phone in your pocket and just let it play throughout the day when you're at work. And your game stalker is not going to like it. You're going to hear them complain in V2K. What do you know of translucent or cloaked entities? Interesting. You talking about the ones you can only capture with cameras? Can you please explain further? What brought you into this subject? Because you came onto the scene about a year ago making videos, but you never talked specifically about your own personal experiences. Hmm. Oceanside, I have talked about my experiences, and maybe if you're looking for evidence videos like most content creators talk about, that's one thing if you're looking for, I don't have. It's because ever since I started my first video, I already have the game plan of taking it gradually, step by step, to gain the credibility and gain the trust of the TI community, because I know TIs are very sensitive people. And when I made my first video, I already went through all those harassments, and I explained it here and there in my videos, talking about my neighbors, started out with my neighbors and getting V2K. And so all that stuff I already got figured out before I made my first video. And if you watch my True Truth of Game Stalking series, each video I would explain some of my previous problems and how I was able to figure out some solutions that helped me overcome this harassment and the stress. Hey, Golden Bear, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. How about yourself?
Good, good. Let me finish this last one of these questions first. Um, yeah, you normally have to up the luminescence and filter. They can be captured by camera, but it is very difficult. I'm just not sure what their purpose is. Well, they could be spirits. You might be talking about what I'll be exposing coming in next year. You just might be on the similar path. But what are they doing to you? Are they doing something to you? Like, do you notice them doing something to you? Zed, is it Zedisa? Sia? Desia? Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. So, Golden Bear,
Yep.
how's your life ever since the last live stream?
It's pretty much the same day every day.
Okay. But is it better, or would you say, is it easier?
Nah, I live the same day absolutely every day, man. I'm just incessantly stalked by people of an unknown association.
Okay, so you're saying like random people out in public?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm being stalked as we speak. I just pulled up to a remote, isolated industrial road that's a dead end and had two cars pull up behind me and park with their lights on. So my stalking is simply, it's not V2K, it's no death rays or energy lasers. I have people following me everywhere. It is easily visible, easily provable. It is occurring as we speak. It's that simple. It's not a voice in my head that I'm aware of. I don't get hit from satellites. I have people following me. So in the essence of the word, stalked by a gang of an unknown associations for purposes unbeknownst to me.
Okay, okay. Yeah, you have a fan here, Ocean Size, wanted you back. That's why I invited you, because he was talking about you. He said you were silent last time. And I'm sorry if that's how you feel, Golden Bear. And
It's not about how I feel; it's about what I observe. Um, you know, my feelings about it can vary from time to time, but it's I am stalked. Period, as the word suggests, stalked or followed by a group or a gang. There's a car parked right by me right now with the lights on. It'll happen at 8 p.m. It'll happen at 3 a.m. It'll happen on a deserted, dispersed road in the desert in in Nevada, all the way up to the tip of the contiguous United States in the northern end of Washington, and everywhere in between. If I pull over off the side of the road, another car will pull over within moments. Does
so
not
let me
matter
ask you.
where I'm at.
So right now you're parked at a dead end, and there's two cars behind you with their headlights shining at your car.
You got it, and this has happened now for over a year straight. I mean, it's anywhere I go, absolutely everywhere I go, and anywhere I park.
Do you know these cars? Like, do you know if any of the people driving these cars?
No, it's you're talking about thousands of vehicles. And no, I don't know thousands of vehicles. There's now a third car. A man came out of a building and just got into a car and he's parked now with his lights on. So, one of the most disappointing things I have about the time that I've spent kind of researching this or trying to wrap my mind around it or figure out what's wrapped around my mind is um, I could deliver irrefutable proof that I am being stalked, right? So the experiences that I have violate the laws of probability, specifically those for non-joint independent events, meaning you cannot pull over every time and have someone follow you and pull over no matter where. I can pull over on the side of the highway where there is nowhere to pull over, and a car will immediately pull over behind me. So one of the most difficult things I have in working through this is it's easy to prove. And supposedly this phenomenon has been going on for decades or hundreds of years and happened to hundreds of people, if not thousands. And I've seen no deliverable proof outside of a few shaky vertical videos. But if I were to cut on a camera and drive for 20 minutes and then just pull over, I could tell you exactly what's about to happen. Almost like the Truman Show, where he's saying, "Hey, there's going to be a lady on a red bike that's going to come by, and then a Volkswagen with a dent in it." I can absolutely predict what's going to happen. So the thing that concerns me is if this has been happening for so many years to so many people, and there's websites and there's forums and there's discords and there's YouTube channels, but there's no documentation. There's all speculation on how to deal with it, but no documentation of being stalked. And I am absolutely stalked anywhere I go, followed, almost like I'm towing a vehicle. Um, That's how close I'm followed most of the time, and just the most bizarre situations. If I pull, for instance, I've pulled over before and had a car parked behind me just to see how long they would for 6 hours. Over 6 hours, this whoever, man or female, sat in the car directly behind me.
And
So
you were just waiting for them to get out, but they wouldn't get out.
exactly, it doesn't matter where you go. I've driven over 15,000 miles in the last year. I decided to move into a Sprinter van just to kind of see what's really going on. And at every stop, no matter if it's 3 in the morning in a remote location in Washington or 9 o'clock at night in the desert in Las Vegas, or excuse me, Nevada, anywhere in between, um, there's a car following me. Period. I don't have that I know of. I don't have helicopters and airplanes. I'm not aware of any voices inside of my head outside of my internal monologue. Um, I'm followed by people, and that's what concerns me. Is nobody's delivered proof of this. I could prove gang stalking unequivocally with irrefutable video evidence. Um, and I don't even bother because of my personal experiences. I'm not going to try to press charges on the entire west coast of the United States, especially considering what I've been through in other criminal actions that have been taken against me. But to me, proving it would be so easy. The greater question is, who is there to tell? Who is there to prove it to? There's nobody to tell or prove it to.
Well, because you need to know the source. Like, what is the source of this? Once you know the source, and then you can go from there. It's like the next phase of for TIs is the source. And yeah, people, some TI would talk about CIA, FBI,
No,
local
no.
police, all that stuff.
There's no human. I don't mean to cut you off, but there's no human network that has the resources and capabilities of what I experience.
You're right. And you know why?
No, there,
Because these are other type of entities. Okay.
yeah,
Like I
there's
mentioned before, the gang stalkers controls this world.
yeah,
And what you're experiencing is they're purposely picking you because you're in a way, I don't want to like not try to offend you, but in a way, it sounds like even people are following you, you're dealing with it, you're doing the best you can to deal with it, but it still bothers you, correct? It bothers you, doesn't it?
it does. I would say that it's not number one on my list of things that are bothersome, but it certainly it bothers me, right? To have people absolutely follow you. I mean, down deserted roads, right? That's kind of a strange situation to be in. And I've confronted maybe a half a dozen or a dozen of these people, stopped, parked, and went up to them. And nobody stands on it. It's like we're pantomiming or we're playing charades or something. It's like, I don't know what you're talking about, all that kind of stuff. So, um, but it does bother me a little bit. But to be honest with you, it's probably number 3 or 4 on the list. The other things I've experienced in life bother me more so. So, I don't mind if everybody wants to follow me around and play the Truman Show, pretend a long game. But what you can't do is you can't physically assault me as I have been in the past, and you can't encumber my ability to generate an income. Those two things let me know that this world is not for me. So something's got to shake out here soon enough.
Well, since okay, you're mentioning that one time you sat in your car for 6 hours waiting for the person behind you to get out. So to me, that is it's somewhat serious of a thing that's going on within you inside your life. And my advice is next time if that happens, like right now, can you drive to a different location?
It'll,
Because
it'll, I have I have over 700 videos of this occurring. It doesn't matter where I go. If I go around the corner, the exact same thing is going to happen. It does not matter where I go, where I park. I
do
mean,
you
when I
get
say dispersed roads, I mean roads where there are no street lights, where it's BLM land, well off into the desert. Um, so to me, the fact that nobody's able to prove gang stalking is almost laughable because I could prove it within a week of live video. If I had a live camera on me, nobody in their right mind would say, hey, you're not being followed. It'd be very, very clear I am being stalked or followed, whichever word you prefer. It doesn't matter where I park. Before I parked here, the last place I was parked for 6 hours, and there was people parked next to me there. It's the same scenario over and over.
And when they park behind you, do you get thoughts that, oh, your life is in danger?
No, I don't care about my life, man. I'd rather shake it up like that. I would love to get physical at this point or move this along in some way. You're not going to scare me over something I don't care about. I don't care about being alive. Death doesn't scare me. Only the process of dying scares me. But I don't care about being, killed. So here we go. We got a fourth vehicle now pulling up, a van. This is the same van, mind you, that parked behind me last night in a different area on another block. It's a white unmarked van, utilitarian van. This person got into the back, which you can't see when they're in the back, and then they just sat in the back of the van all night. And the only reason I know that they were in the van is I got a cat that stays with me in my van, and my cat got out and started walking towards that van, and the cat heard somebody moving it, and I was like, "Yep, that's a stalker, right?" Because he's only 15 feet behind my van. He wasn't there when I went in the back earlier, so he just pulled up again. Usually, it's not the same vehicle, but this is the exact same vehicle, and it's the same thing. So proving it is that's easy. Like I could prove I'm being stalked. I could predict exactly what's going to happen if I pull over on a road where there are no cars, nobody behind me. I can tell you within 5 minutes, somebody will come up and park within my eyesight in front or behind me. And they'll sit forever. I sat one time on the beach on a remote pullout, and a guy stayed inside his car for over 36 hours while I was, going to the beach and back to my. He just parked and put up the foil in his window and sat in his car for 36 hours. So
See,
this is
like,
everywhere I go. This is a joke at this point. You know what I'm saying? I could have just predicted this right now with a live cam because the other car left. So, of course, another car is going to come pull up. And if I go around the corner, it'll be the same thing.
I'm really curious to know your surroundings. Is there any would it be possible for you to show like the audience, show us what your surrounding looks like?
Sure. Let me
Yeah,
hold
take
on.
your
Let me
time.
let me cut my camera on.
All
My
right.
camera on? Can you see that?
Yes, it's on.
So I'm sitting in the driver's seat. Damn, can you see the van? I don't know what you see. But that's the van that just pulled up. That van parked behind me last night. Now, if you look, this is a pretty empty industrial road. And anywhere I go, it'll instantly become super busy. Instantly.
Okay. So it looks like were those residential homes across the street from you?
Nah, there's not a residential home within 2-3 miles of here, if that, maybe even further.
Okay. Those are buildings of industrial buildings?
Yeah, it's all industrial buildings.
Okay. Well, in my mind, I was imagining like a dirt road with a dead end with trees and bushes around, but
I've been on those, my man. If you look up on the map, a place called Ney Bay. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's Neah Bay in Washington. It's on the very tip of the northwest part of the contiguous United States. I parked just before entering into that bay on just an outlet, a cut. So I am on the edge of the coast, as far north as you can get in the United States. If you go into the water, you're going to start going into international water. And instantly a car pulls up next to me. The same goes for BLM land down in Nevada. I am miles and miles off the highway. And as soon as I park on that BLM land, out of nowhere, another car comes by. And it's just over and over and over. I mean, over and over and over. And I don't see any of this when I look at people's YouTubes and all this stuff. And to me, proving it is easy. This is not anything. I mean, I could be dreaming overall in life, whatever, but or hooked up to a matrix, whatever. But this isn't anything that somebody else couldn't see. I'm not declaring that I'm being burnt by lasers. I'm not declaring that there are voices popping out of my toaster. I'm telling you that there are vehicles and people following me 24/7 anywhere I go. And they defy the laws of probability, right? Specifically those for non-disjoint independent events. And by that, I mean specifically, you cannot 100% of the time that you pull over, have somebody else pull over next to you and sit as long as you sit. It's just statistically improbable. It's beyond coincidence and more likely connected.
yeah, it is connected. Um, like I said before, it's most likely the gang stalkers are using two TIs against each other. So I have no doubt that, you think about it this way: you're a TI, you park there. who's to say the car behind you is not also a TI that just end up parking and following you, thinking you're a gang stalker or somehow?
No. Because you would do like I do and go to an empty street, right? You wouldn't park somewhere where you can see someone sitting in the front. When I see someone sitting and waiting in the front, then I don't park there. So you wouldn't do that. And there's other circumstances that let me know that hasn't been the case. And I'll give you an example. One time I parked on a dead end street again next to a storage facility. The storage facility was locked and closed. The gates are locked and closed at 5 or 6 p.m., depending on the day. You can't get in or out after that without managerial access. Your code will not work. And lo and behold, somebody was inside, parked with their car with the lights facing me, from like 6:30 till midnight, right? So no TI or nobody like me could just say, just be controlled to go in there. You can't even be on that property at that time. You're not supposed to. And I took a video of this and went to the management staff. And before I showed them the video, I said, hey, man, can people be on your property after 6 p.m.? Aren't the gates locked and you can't get in and all this stuff? Of course, they said, yeah, no, of course not. Nobody can be in. And then when I showed them the video, they started stuttering and doing the usual, I don't know, and all that kind of stuff. So, but anyways, I've confronted enough of these people that I know none of them are going to stand on it, so to speak. None of them are going to be like, yeah, I'm stalking you, which is what I would do personally. If I were stalking you and I had all this power and all these connections, if you approach my vehicle, I'd be like, I'm stalking you. What are you going to do? But when I come up on them, they always make up some excuse, oh, I work here, or, oh, I just pulled over, or something like that.
Well, here's the thing.
Hold on just a second.
Okay.
There's a plane going overhead. I don't think that plane is specific to me. I'm very close to an airport, so I'm not claiming to be followed by airplanes, helicopters, and drones either. Although I have seen a drone in a very bizarre circumstance one time, but I'm followed by people, and usually people in vehicles. And more often than not, they have a single headlight or tail light for some strange reason.
Here's the thing. So people are following you. That's what you notice. Now let me ask you: are they breaking the law?
No. So they're not breaking. Well, they not against me. For instance, there's been several times where I've parked and there's nowhere.
Oh, I think your connection's going out.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Kind of muffled, but
let me see if I get back in the van if it's any better, because I walked over to this van because I'm ready to. We got to move this along. We got to set this off some way. But so anyway,
you walk to the van. You try to confront the person in the van.
Nah, he just got in his van, so we're not even gonna go there tonight. I'm gonna go there on my own terms and time, and tonight ain't the time. But these people aren't breaking the law against me necessarily, except for when they throw objects at my vehicle, which has happened a couple times, and I tried to chase them down and can't catch them and this kind of stuff. But I have had more than 2 or 3 times, maybe 4, 5, 6 times, people park in a red zone for days on end next to my van. So I got to a remote, like, kind of campsite near the Pacific Ocean, and there's nowhere else to park. There are other spots further away from me, but in order to be close to me, they've parked in a red zone for 36 hours in a row, just sitting in the car.
Yeah, that's not proper for them, but in a way, is you don't have the authority to ticket them.
Right. So that's not breaking the law against me. Now let me say testing. This though. Let me say this. Ahead. I have had the law broken against me before, and that's how I started to really kind of put all these constellations together in my life. This was in 2018. I knew something was shaky. By the way, I used to say, boom, boom, look who shook up the room in my head when I walked in a room, because I could just feel like something's off. Something's not right. But anyways, in 2018, I went in for a surgery, and the doctor did a completely different surgery on me. And he did it in a way to try to mess me up, which he did. Irreparable damage, probably took years off my life, cost me $40,000 to get fixed, and it's still not all the way fixed. It'll never all the way be fixed. He took bloody photos during it and lied up and down. Anyways, I tried to press charges on him, and it got nowhere. So I went first to the police, then to internal affairs, then to police chief, then different offices within the district attorney's office, regulatory boards. And I also pursued him civilly, right? So I filed civil complaint, which took me forever to find an attorney and get off the ground for some reason, even though it was a lock stock, easy to prove. I mean, he had no consent form. My medical records, which were digital, were a train wreck. I mean, they just are so fraudulent. It says this note has been modified. I got him to send one email, and only one email after the improper surgery. And he said, well, I hadn't seen you in this period. But then when he went through his deposition, he said that we had 2 appointments during that same period. So he contradicted himself. Most attorneys would take it as a slam dunk case because he has no consent form. He's saying that he didn't have appointments, and then when it comes time to the criminal or the civil case, he's saying, oh yeah, I did have appointments with you. So anyways, I went through this entire process with that. During his deposition, I secretly video recorded it. It was done by Zoom, and I secretly recorded the deposition because I knew something was fishy with this whole situation. And sure enough, the official transcript that gets submitted to the courts and taken by a court reporter, which is an official licensed position in the state of California, was substantially and materially different than what he said, meaning it had been doctored or fixed. So what he said in the deposition, a group of people had conspired to go in and change to make it a little bit better than some of the things that he had said. And so once I had that evidence, I went to my attorney and was like, all right, man, something's going on now. I don't care if I got to get Gavin Newsom or Obama on the text. We're going to get to the bottom of this because these are literally people conspiring to conceal a felony, right? You made my body bleed in ways it shouldn't have been and took photos of it during the surgery, which no doctor should be doing, which is very bizarre. And it took me forever to get these photos. So I'm going to bring this home, though, here in a second. So, the long story short, I never get any criminal complaint file. I send over 100 pages of documented evidence to several people, including a detective at Internal Affairs. Didn't even get a response. And it's so blatant that a crime occurred, and it's so blatant that multiple people participated in the concealing of that crime because the official court reporter, or excuse me, transcript was doctored or changed, which is the definition of a conspiracy. That said a lot to me, and that's when I pumped my brakes. This is 2018. That's when I was like, all right, something's really off here. So let me just lock up my thoughts and just skip along and just see how people react. And I changed professions and moved to, the area twice, and I kept getting kind of the same feeling I would get when I owned my own business, which I sold in 18. And I was like, man, this is just super off. So when you say, oh, those are things that you can't prosecute, parking in a red, you're right. That's why I'm not going to bother trying to take videos and start a YouTube channel and go somewhere and say, hey, can you lock up the West Coast for following me? That'd be ridiculous, right? Because if I can't prove a documented crime with video, right, then we can forget about one headlights and path crossings and people coughing loud around me. I'm not even going to waste my time with that if I can't prove a felony assault in the state of California. But you say, well, these people aren't affecting you. That has affected me. And that surgery impacts me every day. And if this little process or game or charade or whatever I'm dealing with doesn't move along, then I got to take it into my own hands. A lot of people claim this is some kind of spiritual war. Well, what do you do in a war when people make you bleed? Right? You make them bleed back. So at some point, I'm not going to sit here and wait for some starseed army to come, some epiphany to happen in my head, or God to part the skies. At some point, I got to take it into my own hands. So the people that are following me, that's fine. Go ahead and follow me. Park, honk your horn, play your music, do this ridiculous stuff they do, no matter where I park. But I know one person that did make me bleed. I know that. And I don't mind going to talk to God about that. And we can go there together as far as I'm concerned. So when you say, are these people breaking the law against you? Yes, they are. And yes, they have. And they've broken the law against me in a very real, physical way that I still have documents that prove the law was broken and nothing was done. So if I'm going to continue along in a world where one, professionally, I'm impacted, right? It's obvious that I'm sabotaged no matter where I go. But two, I can't even go to a doctor without them having the liberty to be able to cut any piece of my body off that they want and suffer absolutely no repercussions. Then this ain't a place for me to be, right? And so if this is a war, at some point I got to do something myself, right? So I'm not going to just keep bouncing around. Over a year ago, I decided I'm not going to work again. After I went through my last professional experience, I said, you know what, forget that. You could skip that. I I'm not going to try to kick the ball like Charlie Brown. They just keep moving the football. I'm not going to go do that again. So when I run out of money, if no kind of developments come, which there haven't been, then I gotta look at this like the Truman Show. I gotta say, you know what? I need to find the ocean, right? And if no ocean is present, the only thing that's ever been taught to me since birth is that you will die. So I never had any fear of dying. But I'll be damned if I'm gonna kill myself. I can tell you that much. And if it is a war, I'll be damned if you're gonna make me bleed, and I'm not gonna make you bleed.
But here's the thing, though. Okay, let's talk about your lawsuit. Okay, so if that's happened to you, then the lawsuit, I recommend going to a news outlet.
No,
Bring
I've
your
already tried that.
You already tried all the news outlet.
Yeah, they don't deal with medical malpractice. The best I could do is maybe crash a city council meeting or crash, maybe set up a website with all the documents and like crash a newscast. Like write the website down on a
So
board.
I'm curious to know. So when you said you're gonna take action on on your own hands, like what are you implying? Like what kind of actions
I
are you
I,
gonna
I
take?
don't want to go specifically into that because I just don't. But let me just say this: I'm not going to be kicked around forever. You can forget that, right? So if it's not safe for me, like if you can cut pieces of my body off, then what can I do? Let's see what I can do at some point. So as far as bothering me, the following me, the stalking me, the playing music next to me, or coughing, or throwing things at my van and all that, man, that's further down the list. But if you think you can take pieces of my body off of me and then sabotage me professionally, I don't know what you're asking for. I'll tell you what you're gonna get soon, though, because it's just not. I'm just at the end of it at this point. I'm damn near out of money now, and I'm still being followed. So
So you not working right now?
no, and I will never work again. I stopped over a year ago, and I will never ever work again. You can
Why
forget
is
that.
that? Because of that medical thing?
No, because of the experiences I had working. So when I owned my own business, people were going out of their way to sabotage it, which was bizarre. Like I had a gentleman who spent $50,000 to try to ruin my business when he could have made several $100,000 flowing with it. And that kind of stuff just kept happening. That's when I knew something is cooking here. Something is up. Something is off. And then I had the surgery happen. And in between, I had a meeting with a venture capital. I'm out in Silicon Valley at the time. I had a meeting with a venture capitalist that I know, very prominent, billionaire, him and his wife both. Um, Very, very prominent figure. And he said some funny stuff to me at a luncheon we had one time. He was like, you trying to make money would be me, like me trying to dunk a basketball. And I thought, man, that's kind of some weird stuff to say because you're a VC and he talks all about this no cognitive bias and we look at all colors of skin to try to help and win and all this stuff. That's what he purports publicly. And for him to say that to me in downtown Palo Alto, I was like, man, that's some weird stuff to say. Like, why would you say that? And I had several other people say stuff like that. Another lady who calls herself an angel funder said some weird stuff one time. She was like, why do you think you haven't been successful? And she smiled sinister because people were sabotaging this business I had, spending money to sabotage it. Just bizarre. And that, anyways, that's when I kind of realized something was popping. So I sold that business. I thought, all right, let me get this peanut butter off my fingers. Let me move on and see what happens. And I started a completely new profession. And in the meantime, I did some work that was very difficult for me physically and mentally, considering where I thought I was in life, just to try to keep money coming in. And I started a new profession and I experienced the same thing. Like the very first money making opportunity I encountered in this new entrepreneurial endeavor, somebody very seasoned in the business just came through and completely sabotaged it. Just very bizarre when we could, again, have split the money fairly and evenly. Um, and I was like, all right. So, and within this same entrepreneurial arena or business, I said, let me move. And I moved 50 miles northeast, basically from the South Bay area to the East Bay area. And I was like, let me do my thing out here, completely new group, all new faces, all new network, all new connections. And the same thing started happening. Right. And I was trying to come in like just 100% team player, anybody I met, I was going above and beyond because I just wanted to put it all out there, put it on thick to see, hey, what's going on. These people would have no reason to hate on me or to hurt me financially. It should be mutually beneficial. Same thing happened there. So I walked out of that office and I will never work again. You can forget about that. To me, that's like Charlie Brown kicking the football. If you ain't gonna keep moving the football, you can forget about me trying to kick it. I'm done with that. So you need money to live here. Whether this is a path to God or a path to enlightenment or a spiritual war, whatever these people want to talk about this gang stalking is or the purpose of life is, it requires money. And if you sabotage my ability to make money, well, you're leaving me with few options here. And then if you sabotage my body and cost me money and time off of my life, now you're going a little too far. So the cars following me around, this white van sitting across the street right now, sit in the van, my friend. I don't even leave anymore because if I leave, I'm gonna go somewhere else. Somebody else is gonna pull up. Guaranteed. Doesn't matter where I go. You can do
But
all that you want. I don't care if you're reading my mind. I don't care if you're shooting death lasers over here that I can't see or feel. Do whatever you want there. But what I can see and feel is the impact on my bank account, my professional trajectory, and the impact on my body. I can feel that surgery every day of my life. It affects every day of my life, and it's still not healed or fixed. I can only do what I could do because it costs like 40 grand out of pocket just to get some corrective surgeries done.
can I tell you something, Golden Bear?
Yeah.
It, to me, it sounds like throughout the years, all these things that happened to you has taken away your your will to keep going.
Where
You
am I
kind of
going though? Where are we going? What are we doing here? Do
like
you know the
meaning
purpose of life?
in life, as in keep
Yeah.
fighting
What's the
the
purpose in life?
well to survive, right?
I don't know. You tell me. What is the purpose of life? Is it simply to survive?
Well, it all depends on the person. Is subjective, but survival is definitely one of them.
Okay, well I can tell you this, you're going to die, right?
Yeah,
That's the
true,
one that's the
true.
one truth. So you will never win that. Is the purpose just to live as long as you can live?
And experience, get to experience life, I guess.
Well, I'm gonna pass on it. If you put experience on one side of the scale and you put going to get money on the other, it ain't worth it to me. Right? I'm not going to go bust my butt, especially going miles for inches in return, just so I can go on some hikes and bike rides and stuff like that. Now, this Truman Show thing, whatever I'm dealing with, this gang stalking, whatever this is, if you want to put me on a pension plan and give me some money, I'm fine. I'll keep living. But what I'm not going to do is go to work and go through all this stuff. You can forget that. That's ridiculous, right? I'm not going to go bust my butt working somewhere, especially trying to get off another business, and I'm not going to work for somebody else. I'm not going to go do all that just to get off work and come try to meditate and astral project and uh, fight some spiritual war. You can forget that. To me, that's just jumping on a hamster wheel inside of a cage, right?
Well,
So
it seems like you are an important TI. It's just
I,
they're really trying hard to mess with you and ruin your your will to just continue on.
Yeah, well,
It's like
let me help somebody then. Let's line up together. If that's their goal, let me make that my goal too. So at least I'm helping somebody. If you want me out of here and I want to get out of here, it sounds like we're lined up together. Let's make it happen. We can shake it out on any street at any time.
now what bothers me to hear from you is how sometimes you would get frustrated and then you would take it out. For instance, the white van behind you. Like, are you? Why don't you just go talk to the person still there? You should just go talk to the person. Just say
I've
hi.
done I've done that a dozen times. I don't feel like pantomiming with people and playing charades. Right? So I pulled over one time to this really remote little viewpoint type area. And I mean, within 30 seconds, somebody pulled up behind me. I was like, you know what? Let me go over here and see what this guy is talking about. Walked up there. I was like, hey, man, did you come, and politely, did you come here because of me? And he's just eating he pulled out a sandwich. No, I just came to eat a sandwich. Total bullshit. Total bullshit. It's like I'm dealing with a 4-year-old when I approach these people. Like they have no idea what I'm talking about. So should I go over there and just be like, hey, what do you think of the weather? And just, bullshit about bullshit, excuse my language, or, should we get to the bottom of this? You're here
But
because of
here's the
me.
thing: if he was eating a sandwich, why can't you just accept that?
Because we violate the laws of probability, right? That's like the thousandth time a car, literally 1,000 times, a car has pulled over right behind me as soon as I pull over. I mean,
Right?
absolutely right behind me. So,
But okay, but
we
let's
got to
talk
stop.
about.
At some point, we got to stop playing. Or there's this one time I was on an industrial road. Again, no cars around. About 20 minutes later, a car parks on this entire long street. This car parks 1 foot behind me. I mean, so close you couldn't see him if you were looking in a rear view, and just starts slamming his music loud. And that was on an Easter Sunday actually too. That happened so many times. It happened at a rest area up in Oregon where somebody just pulled in and started playing music extraordinarily loud right next to me at like 4 a.m. in the morning. And here's the thing that makes me believe, all right, I got to be the only one here. If you, I was on the truck side of the rest area, but if you pull up to a rest area at 4 a.m. in the morning and slapping music with woofers in your truck, I mean, ground shaking, you could be hundreds of yards away, one of those kind of cars and stereo systems, you're going to get your butt kicked, right? It shouldn't be only me reacting, right? There are 40 other vehicles in this rest area. Now, he decided to park right next to mine in a sedan, even though I'm in the truck area, and just play his music at 4 a.m. and nobody else is reacting. It's crazy. That's bizarre. So I've got to be the only one here that's a TI, or if there's two types of humans, I'm the only one that's my type, because somebody should have came out that their car and been like, what's going on here? You can't do that. You just can't do that. Another rest area, a guy let his alarm go off for like 4 hours from like midnight to 4 in the morning. You can't do that at a rest area. That was on I-5 in California. You can't do that kind of stuff and somebody doesn't react. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
Um,
here's the thing, Golden Bear. Like the philosophical way of going about this is you can't expect other people to not break the law or do things that are within the law. All you can do is just not let those things bother you and not get involved if they are breaking the law.
okay, so let me put all that to a side. Keep playing your music, keep honking your horn, tapping on my van at 3 in the morning. Keep doing all that. But what are we gonna do for money here? You see what I mean? Because it takes money.
Money, yeah, it does. And you don't want to go look for a job and you don't want to start a business.
No, I'm done with that. That's a wrap. I'm finished with that. So these people want to follow me around and put me on the pension plan.
But I don't know if the pension plan you're looking for is really going to be there because there is no pension plan for this.
Well, I'm not going to go to work for this, right? Who would go to work just to go around and try to not be bothered after that? To me, that you'd be a sucker to do that. That basically be like saying, all right, let me out of my cell from 9 to 5. I'm gonna go to work. You can harass me there and get in front of my way of making money and make everything super long, and I gotta go miles for inches in return. And then when I get off work, you can harass me and I'll ignore you. Like, what are we doing here? To me, that's like a little hamster running around on a treadmill inside of a cage, and he's just happy to get a few drops of water.
When it comes to harassment, um, you ever thought about maybe you shouldn't put so much focus onto other people harassing you?
Well, that gets a little difficult, right? Because they're literally like, tapping my van at 3 a.m. in the morning and then running away, so let's say I don't focus on that. Then what do you focus on? Going to work and being positive and self-improvement and hobbies?
I mean, yeah, that's what most people do. Most TI would have that, right?
Nah, I'm a pass. I'm a pass on that, man. I'm a pass. That's a hard pass for me.
So what are you gonna do? I mean, once the money runs out, what are your plans? You're gonna need a plan.
Yeah, well, I can't discuss my plans at this point, but I can tell you, if you make me bleed, I can make you bleed. I can tell you that much, and I'll talk to any god about that.
Okay, so let's say you do go on with your plan. Like, how do you know those people that you're selecting are
I don't need
deserving?
to. I don't need to mess with anybody following me. I didn't said that out loud several times. You could do that. You could flash your lights at my van at 3 a.m. like somebody did this past Saturday morning on a dead end in Palo Alto, California. Um, you can play your music. You can do all that stuff you want to do. But I know somebody that did make me bleed. How about that?
Okay. Now let me ask you: are there anything that you enjoy, like any hobby or any skills you want to learn at all?
I'm done with those, bro. I'm
You
done
done?
with those. I'm done with those. Yeah. If you want, I'm not going to go to the hobbies are not worth going to work and trying to ignore all this other stuff. It's not enough on the other side of the scale. So I'm going to pass on going to work so I can get a garden and a wood shop and focus on fitness and health and spreading positivity. I think I'm gonna pass on all that stuff. It's not worth what I have to deal with going to work. It's not safe for me if I can't go to a doctor and they can just do whatever they want. They can cut any piece of my body off. And then what? When they do that, I just look the other way and put on some rainbow glasses and say, "Hey, it's all good. I'm gonna go to the gym." Nah, we you can miss me with that. If the police don't have my back, if nobody in the district attorneys don't have my back, when you have video evidence of felonies, then this ain't a safe place. Then it's war. Then it's on like a war. And all's
Now,
fair in love and war.
on a daily basis, okay, as of now, moving forward, okay, let's just say in the last month, every day on a daily basis, are you being harassed and attacked?
Uh, I'm being harassed, but not. It's not anything I couldn't deal with, right? I could deal with being followed. I could deal with you running into a store to get in line in front of me, which happens every store I go into. I mean, literally people running in, man. The other day I pulled into 7-Eleven and this car didn't even finish pulling into the stall because I just pulled into a random 7-Eleven, and hadn't thought about it prior either, which is important. And just made a hard right into this, a hard left into the 7-Eleven. And all of a sudden, this truck comes flying in. The passenger jumps out before the truck stops moving. The truck only pulls halfway into the stall just so he can meet me at the door and get in before me. And then, of course, start reading labels after that. Like, now he's not in a hurry. I could deal with all that stuff. But what I can't deal with is you're shaking up my ability to make money. I can't get proper health care. You can forget about it after that. You can forget about it. I'm not
See,
going to go through all that.
but then you're the one that said you don't want to do 9 to 5, so you don't want to work no more. You said.
Yeah, never again, buddy. Never again. Why would you go to work? That's like having a job in prison, like making license plates or something. Why would you do that?
It sounds like you want to take revenge on something bad that happened to you.
No, my number one choice right now is just put me on a pension plan. You can make it all expense paid. You want to do that? Then I'll pick up some hobbies. I'll go to Raging Waters. Hell, these people that follow me, you could hold my hand if you want. You could put your cell phone, which seems to be very important to show me that they have a cell phone. You could put your cell phone on my forehead, man. We could take a selfie together. I'll sign an autograph. I'll give you a big bear hug if you want on every dead end from here to New York. But I'm not going to go to work and be harassed when I get off work. That's not what I'm
So,
going to do. So you want to make it all expense paid? Then fine. Harass all you want. Cut in front of me. Uh, you can make it take 30 hours for me to check out from a grocery store. I'll go to amusement parks and get on roller coasters with you. I'll go over to the van guy, see if you want to roast marshmallows. But I'm not going to go to work for that.
well, it sounds like your gang stalkers are just not realizing they have pushed you to where you are now, where you just kind of don't give a shit about anything anymore.
Yeah, you absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And the last thing I want to do is hurt anybody, right? That's the last thing I want to do. But at some point, and I've considered this, maybe that's the purpose of this whole thing, right? Like maybe if I did something drastic and hurt somebody, like like uh like it'd be like, the Sonic rings would pop out or something, like, hey, you finally did it. That's what we've been waiting on or something. I don't know. Because that's the only thing I haven't done. I've turned a blind eye. I tried to stay positive, and it's just all bad. So, after that doctor did what he did, I was still on a positive tip. You're going to have to bear with me right now because there's a lot of planes going overhead. But I was still on a positive tip after that surgery. I had a business that I was going to start that was all about helping people and shining light and vibing higher, all this kind of good stuff. And then shit just kept going bad, just over and over and over, professionally, worse and worse and worse. More and more people getting involved to conceal the crime. And so after my last professional experience, where I went in and was tried to be as best kind of a businessman as I could be, even though it was an independent entrepreneurial endeavor, you still got to do business with other people, right? So I tried to bend over backwards and basically represent myself and be as supportive as I can. Forget that. I'm not going to deal with that. That's a joke. So
You know what I tell people? No matter how bad of a situation you're in, there's always someone out there on this planet in worse situation.
but that doesn't you know what I tell people when I hear that? You ask me if I want to get hit once or twice, I'll tell you neither. Okay, so if I got hit one time and you punch the other guy two times and you say, hey man, you should be doing better, that's not a good way to look at life, man. That's a defeatist attitude. You need to get
Well,
to a point where you're getting hit 0 times.
but here's
Or
the
you
thing: it boosts your morale because if you
Nah, that just looks down on other people. You can also flip that the other way and say there's always people doing better than you. Don't worry about other people and what they're doing, whether it's better or worse. Worry about yourself. And if you're not in a position where you're content and happy, then do something about it. And if at all, if you exhaust all options, keep looking for an option. And that's what I'm doing. But I
see, but this
see no option.
kind of contradict what you say earlier because you were talking about how you're complaining about how your situation was not the best and getting worse. And my
No, I didn't.
response to your situation was, "There's always someone out there in a worse situation than you."
I didn't say it was getting worse. It's about the same, which is sad that I live the same day absolutely every day. And yes, there are people doing worse than me, but there's also people doing better than me. And that has no effect on me. I wish that the people doing worse than me were doing better. And I wish the people that were doing better than me were doing even better than they are now. So that's all good. I'm only worried about me. I'm not worried about comparing myself to what somebody else is dealing with. So if you tell me I got a 30-year prison sentence, you say, well, this guy's got a 60-year. I don't care. I want to deal with my 30-year sentence. Why am I here? Why am I subjected to this? And if I can't figure out an answer to that, then I got to shake things up by the means that have been given to me by God or the devil or whoever. But I do know that some means have been given to me, and I'm slowly getting over the ability to not hurt people because I don't really have it in me to hurt people. But at
Okay,
some
so
point, you got to shake things up. You got to make something happen here, right?
so
So
you don't want to hurt people. That's good. Never hurt people,
right.
and you don't want to work. So what are you gonna do when your money runs out?
Well, if I don't have any answers, then we might have to look at something else. We might have to look at the other options. Let me ask you this: if someone made you bleed, would you make them bleed back?
Well, okay, can you go further in detail, as in what
I don't
happened?
know. Let's say somebody, I don't know.
Or is it intentional and also
Yeah.
okay,
Let's
and
say somebody
also
intentionally hurt you and laughed about it.
well, why don't we talk about what your experience because it happened to you and it's bothering you because otherwise talking about me is just be speculative.
Okay. Well, let's forget about that. Let me ask you another question. Have you ever seen definitive evidence of gang stalking? Like irrefutable proof that gang stalking exists?
Well, gang stalking, the action of gang stalking are real, and for me, I always talk about how a lot of it is just the lower voice to skull.
Right.
And
And I
hearing your situation is, see, where you parked, you don't need to think about the cars behind you. You don't even need to think about the cars following you.
Mhm.
But it seems like that has gotten into your mind where you do think about it on a daily basis. And if you could actually stop yourself from thinking about the cars following you, that would take so much stress off of you.
Okay, and then what? And then go get a job and never mind the people following me?
Well, I mean, getting a job is just part of the money to buy food and the necessity, gas for your
Right.
car and water, food, clothing. I mean,
Right.
that's what everyone do on this planet. I mean, people they get to some point they're gonna need to work.
Well, who set it up like that?
It's just the way societies function. I mean, in a way, it is somewhat more peaceful. If you don't have this system, then there's too many.
Did you know that money doesn't exist? Do you know what we deal with is a fiat currency? It's all made up. Do you know that
Yeah, I
some
mean,
people go inches for miles and other people go miles for inches? Right?
yeah, I
Here's
mean, you can
another
break it down like
huge.
that. You can break it down like that. And I understand what you're saying.
So why
How
would you trade your life force energy for a big trick? Right?
because
Why would
society
you?
have bought into it already. So you're gonna have to function within what
Uh,
society
nah,
operates.
I'll break the other way. I'll break the other way. I've always said that you were supposedly the transatlantic slave trade happened. Are you familiar with that? Where hundreds of thousands of people were brought from Africa to the United States, or basically North America at that time. You're aware that that happened, right? Or supposedly it happened if you look in the history books. So I always said that if you ever seen those pictures of the slave boats where they had them laid down in rows and rows and rows, I always said that, you know what, there's no way you could bring me here to North America, line me up on a plantation, and just have me do the work, right? Because there's some people who accept both the whip and the yoke because there's some flowers in the field to look at. I'm not one of those people, right? You're gonna have to knock me out. You're gonna
But
have
that
to
was a
take me out.
different time period, and also
It's
you,
not. It's not. You're basically trading your life for money for something that doesn't exist just because other people are doing it and going along with it. Not
you
me.
you don't
It's
think the
not
living
worth it to me.
standard you don't think the living standard is better since those days, those
It
times?
doesn't matter. You could be a slave and not know you have a yoke on. You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're
So
saying. You're saying we're all slaves to the system. Yeah, I get your point.
I don't know if everybody is, man. From what I've experienced, I'm not sure everybody does go to work for money. Because I don't know how you have time to sit in a car for 36 hours behind me, my man. The other thing I'd like to say that makes absolutely no sense is there is no reason, this whole thing is a ruse. This whole thing is a farce. There is no reason there should ever be a manhunt or someone missing or we're looking for this fugitive. If you can find me without remote, without cell phone, without even the vehicle, just on foot, walking through the desert or walking through the forest in Oregon, then you can find whoever just shot everybody. If you can meet me at a store and just absolutely flooded with quote unquote people within moments of me getting there and kind of predict whether I'm going to stop there or not, then you can stop that guy from going to to a school and shooting up everybody, right? So it just doesn't make any sense. It's all a joke. It's all a game, and it's
Well,
not very funny to me.
I think you're focusing too broad. Like you should just focus more on yourself and how to make
That
your situation better.
to me that you're basically saying, hey man, just go get a job, pick up some hobbies, and never mind it. Live your life as long as you can. I'm a pass. That's a personal decision I get to make. I'm a pass on that, buddy. You haven't
Well, that
experienced what I've experienced. I'm gonna pass. And here's another very concerning to me thing to me, and I'm gonna say it about the third time I said this. I could deliver irrefutable video evidence that I am being stalked by a gang of people. In other words, in the most visible manifestation of gang stalking, I believe it is people or a group of people of an unknown association that follow a quote unquote targeted individual for purposes unbeknownst to the target, right? And I use the word people very loosely. I could prove that exists. I could prove I am being stalked by a group of people. I have not seen anybody else deliver that proof. I've seen you break down some, I guess, Survivor or Big Brother episodes where you see shadows on the screen and stuff like that. That's a little bit subjective, may or may not be what you're talking about. What I can tell you is I am being followed, and I could demonstrate that. Let's say I popped up a 360 cam on the top of my head or the top of my van. You could easily see that I am being followed no matter where I go. I mean, it'd be clear as day. And it's very concerning to me that supposedly all these TIs have existed or do exist, and they've filed for freedom of information, and they're talking about class action lawsuits and websites and targeted justice and all this. Nobody has a video proof of it. So, and I could easily prove it. So at some point I got to sit back and go, all right, something really funny is up here. Either everything is a troll, or I'm just the first person that can visually prove it.
okay.
And I don't believe it. I don't believe that I'm the first person that could prove that.
I mean, all TIs go through this. All TI go through,
Where's the
being
proof?
followed and
Where's the
having
proof?
neighbors.
I know people who have hundreds of YouTube videos on their channel, but they have no proof. They want to tell you
Exactly.
all of a
So if you
spiritual
have your
war,
proof,
and
you ever
they
thought
they
about
know all
uploading your videos?
for what? Who am I proving it to?
Well, to the help other TIs like you believe in, right? You have the
To,
proof.
to be what? I've actually tried to stop taking videos because it's pointless, right? The only reason I started taking videos is one, to confirm it to myself, and two, because sometimes they seem to react. I've learned some things about my phone and my eyes and how they react when I cut those on. So, but
Well, let me ask you
I'm,
though. So what do you want to do? Because it sounds like you don't really want to do anything, but yet you also really hating what's happening, and you have to prove, but you don't want to upload it. So and you don't want to go to work. So what is it that you want out of this? Like, what do you want to do? Seriously, do you even know what you want to do?
yeah, I either want to find out what is going on, like some answers, whatever's happening, why it's happening for anyone. And so this is what I would say. I would boil it down to this. I want one of these three things. Any one of these three things, and I'm down to keep moving. You can give me provisions, you can give me purpose, or you can give me peace, right? Or I can find those things. Doesn't have to be given. But I haven't found provisions, I haven't found purpose, and I haven't found peace. Now, if you give me one of those first two, provisions or purpose, I'll be at peace. In other words, if one of these clowns came up to me and said, you know what, when we're within 50 yards of you, we get an energy boost because we're in another dimension and blah, 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 blah. I'd be like, all right, cool. I got you. No doubt. That's my purpose. That's my role. I can roll with that if you give me purpose. But the only purpose people seem to have is, hey, just live your life, skip along, pick up a hobby, be positive, and live as long as you can. That's not purpose, man. All you're doing is walking around consuming things, playing this invisible money game. That's not purpose. If God parted down through my head and said, hey, man, this is a spiritual war, and I need you to, hey, I got you, man. That's my purpose. If another alien species, which I was hoping would pop up when I would go to these remote desert locations, but I only get a vehicle, which is lame. I was hoping to get a spaceship or something. By the way, last time I was on your show, a lady said they'll show you the spaceships. They ain't show me no spaceships. All I see is one headlight and one tail light everywhere I go, regular vehicles, which is very disappointing. But if an alien popped up over here and said, hey man, you're trapped inside of our prison planet, or you're trapped on a treadmill and just your conscious thought feeds our species, I'd be like, all right, I can rock with that. I got you, bro. I'm gonna keep going because at least I know it's benefiting something. But just to walk around here and consume vegetables and animals and air, I'm gonna pass on that. You know, I don't get enough. We're just moving rocks around on this earth. We're not doing anything.
Well, I mean, the way you're looking at things, it just seems so. It's like not realistic because you want a purpose, but okay, let's just say you do get that purpose, and God give you a purpose. What do you think God would want you to do? Right? He probably wants you to teach, in a way, wouldn't it?
Well, first, I don't know. I maybe that's the case, but you have to give me the ability to just discern who am I teaching, right? Let's say it's an us or them. Let's say half the population or 95% of the population are not what they seem, like some reptilians or whatever these conspiracy theories that go around. You have to give me the people. How do I know I'm not teaching a class full of reptiles? How do I even know I'm human? How do I know I'm not the reptile? You see what I'm saying? Like you have to give me truth to be able to teach, right? When supposedly Jesus walked this earth, I don't know if you believe in that, but it doesn't matter. Whoever you believe in needs to have authority and understanding and truth. And so I cannot teach what I do not know, right? So all I could do is show you videos of me being followed. I could give you documentation, but anything after that would be speculation. And by the way, that's all I ever see in the TI community. I never see documentation of it. All I see is speculation, from COINTELPRO to CIA to MK Ultra to spiritual war between light and dark to Yabadeoth and
Well, let
Satan
me tell you
and
this. Let me tell you this.
Anunnaki and all this stuff. That's all speculation. I see no documentation.
Let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. Okay, you're right. There's speculation. Now you want a purpose.
Yeah.
You
Or
believe you're the
provision.
only one. You haven't seen any real gang stalking evidence, and you believe you could possibly be the only one with the actual evidence. So maybe that is your purpose to release the video evidence and bring light into this situation. Because, like you said, you feel like you're the only one with actual
So my
evidence.
my the conflict I have with that are a couple things, right? For one, um, whatever I'm dealing with is very very powerful in respect to me, right? So how is it that I could disseminate this evidence to people? That doesn't make sense. Why would it allow me to do that unless it was some form of entertainment for them? Why?
Well, then
How
you
is
got
it
to do
that I?
something. Okay, because I try to provide solutions, and it seems like the solution I've given you, you're able to mention the opposite, kind of play the
Well,
devil's
no, it's
advocate.
it's it's only that I've sat with that possible solution. Okay, maybe my purpose is here to expose this, and then I sit back and go, wait a second, how would this, if I'm in a simulation, how would it allow me to destroy it from within off of YouTube? And then the other thing that goes through my head is, how is it that nobody else can see what I see? Right? There shouldn't be this many vehicles here right now. And then the other thing goes, if I couldn't prove a crime, and I spent 3 years going from from lowly desk clerks at the police station up to detectives in internal affairs and eventually the police chief and the mayor. If I couldn't prove a crime with video, what am I proving here? What am I proving here? That cars are following you. Okay, so what's the next thing? What do you do? What do we do? What is it? What do people that message me are gonna be like? Well, what do we do? I have no clue, bro. Just get a hobby.
You're thinking too deep into it. You should just start doing it. And by doing it, just start uploading the video and go from there and play as it goes. Because you're trying to think of all the possibility and all the worst thing that can happen if you upload videos. I mean, you're thinking too deep into it. You just got to start doing it.
There's a couple things that go with that, right? Let's say I do just start doing it. For one, it costs money to do that, right? You need a camera, you need a computer to upload it. You need, and it's nominal, but you do need money to do this stuff, and you need money to live during the time that you're doing this stuff, to travel, because to do it appropriately, I need to travel, right? You need to move to remote places and this kind of stuff. You can't pull into a Safeway and say, hey, they're following me at the grocery store,
Wait, I thought you said you already got the videos, though. I thought you said you already got the evidence.
I do. I have a lot of videos, but to do it appropriately, you should pop up a 360 camera, right? So that you can see all the way around. You should be able to edit it, right? Or at least be able not edit it in terms of the content, but just overlay red circles or arrows and say, hey, you see this, you see that, you see that. These are all things that violate the laws of probability. So to do it,
but I'm talking about the video you already have right now, because earlier you mentioned you have the videos.
Right, but to definitively prove it, you need to have a video running before you even get somewhere. In other words, if I pull up my camera right now and say, hey, this vehicle just parked here, you don't know if I parked here or they parked here first. You don't know if I'm going around finding people that are parked and parking behind them and saying they're following me, right? So you need a camera rolling that shows, hey, this guy just drove 40 miles and then he parked and instantly a car parked behind him. Because if I cut on the video after I park, you don't know who got here first.
Okay, so right now, as of right now, you don't have that solid video yet.
I have good video, like a few of them I cut on before I actually stopped, but not, I have over 700 videos of people parked next to me, very close proximity in remote location, everywhere I go, in the same posture too, staring, just the exact same posture. But it's not definitive. To give absolute, concrete, definitive evidence, I would have to do it in a scientific way, right? So, in other words, I only have maybe a dozen videos where I cut it on while I was driving for 5 or 10 minutes, and then like, hey, now watch what happens as soon as I pull over.
So basically, sounds like what you need. I mean, the only real way to get real evidence on this is you need a camera running 24/7 nonstop. That is the only way to get real evidence.
Right, or close to it, right? Very close.
No, gotta be 24/7. Gotta be nonstop 24/7.
That would, hey, that's what I was thinking, right? So because I gave that some thought, maybe this is my purpose. If that were my purpose, I'd pop up a camera that's running 24/7, continue living in a Sprinter van and traveling and showing you how if I pull over on a place where there are no roads, a car will pull over behind me.
Okay.
And I have no fear of that. I have no fear of that. You could hop out and shoot me down, or Godzilla could hop out. I don't care. King Kong. Okay, I'd rather that right now than just sit here, both sitting in our cars.
So we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. So you're living in a Sprinter van, and I would imagine you have a inverter hooked up to your battery. So you have
I didn't deck out this van at all. It's pretty rough. So it's just a stock van. I got a bed and stuff, but I didn't do electrical, solar, water. And so now you're getting into things that cost money, as well as the gas, the maintenance, all of that type stuff. So to expose it would cost money, and I'm done working, right? So I'm over that.
Stuck. Then you're stuck because you're gonna need to actually So someone recommended just get a job, make enough money to get the supplies, and then quit the job. I mean, at some point you're gonna need to do something like that to get the money so you can buy the camera.
I'm not doing it. Let me say this. Let me be as very clear as I could say. I would rather die than work another minute in my life. And you're talking to somebody who's done some pretty tough work in their life. I mean, I started off pushing a mail cart, buddy. Like I didn't have no silver spoon in my mouth. I've done a lot of tough work. Um, and a lot of work. Owning my own business was extraordinarily involving. So I'm not scared of work, but I'm done with work. I would rather die than work another minute. To me, that's like going back in the field to pick cotton just to try to prove that there's a master around, you know. Um, Pretty obvious already. Should be pretty obvious, you know.
Well,
So
then wouldn't at some point you're gonna become homeless then, wouldn't it?
I'm already technically homeless, right? If you live in a vehicle, you're technically homeless. And that's what I decided to do with the last bit of money that I had a year ago now. Is, you know what? I'm done with this. And I'll tell you another thing too. That's when everything became magnified, right? That's when all these experiences really ratcheted up. Okay. And I'm not saying I'm in a simulation, but let's say I was in a simulation. That's when the simulation got really pissed off, right? I even had a stranger approach me on a bus and go, "What are you going to do now?" Because I just walked out of my last business, just walked out. I'm done. I turned in my 30-day notice at the place I was renting, and that was it. And nobody knew what I was going to do. And all of a sudden, a stranger comes at me and goes, "What are you going to do now?" And he goes, "This witchcraft's about to get 10 times worse." Right. And said some other bizarre stuff to me. But, anyways, and that was a complete stranger. Right. Uh, it, Whatever. But that's when the sim got really mad. That's when all this stuff kind of ratcheted up. It's almost like, hey, we got a runner. This guy's not just trying to go earn a living anymore. He's went rogue, and I've been going rogue since. But I'm out of money at this point. I'm not going to work for money. I would rather die than do that. And I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to hurt myself. That's not in my nature. That's not in my spirit. But I have a feeling that even if this is some kind of war, light and dark, or whatever you want to say, we may go to the different locker room at halftime, but at the end of the day, we all go to the same house, right? So the doctor that hurt me, I don't want him to be condemned to hell forever or burnt up in eternal flames or anything like that. I'm cool. I'd rather not. In fact, I'd rather go to hell and be burned up than he get burned up. And before I do, I'd like to talk to whoever's doing the burning, man, because why are you creating things just to burn them? You can forget about that. So I'm not here to really want to hurt anybody, but I feel like if I do, it's just kind of like maybe me and you got to go sit out the game and wait for the game to end. You know, we both got targeting penalties, and we got to go to the locker rooms early.
Hey, Golden Bear. To me, it sounds like you're going through a battle right now for your own soul, because you don't want to hurt people, but yet you practically give up on life, and you don't want
Yeah,
to work, but
yeah,
yet you don't
nah.
want to hurt people, but yet you're holding on to the grudge of the doctor.
No,
Or
that's just the only target, right? That's the only legitimate target. Like I couldn't go hurt somebody for following me. You know what I'm saying? Like you're just following me. You know? Okay, cool.
like,
I can't physically hurt you for doing that,
and it
right?
sounds like you're okay with hurting yourself because you say you rather die than work. So in a
Yeah.
way, that type of logic, it comes from demons. You know that, right?
I don't know that. No, I don't. And you said another term too, because I hear this thrown around a lot. Is spirit and soul. What does soul mean?
You're talking right now, right?
No,
Are you
I'm
talking to
asking
me?
you. What does soul
You're
mean?
talking to me. Okay.
What is
So when
soul?
you're talking, that is your soul.
Okay.
And when you're not talking and you're thinking, that comes from entities. Does it
Okay.
make sense? Because here's the thing. Here, I have a exercise for you. Try not to think for 30 minutes. And if you get thoughts, those are not your thoughts.
Hey, check this out. Just real
Because your
quick.
objective,
Uh,
your
uh,
objective, hold on, let
uh-huh.
me finish. Your
Go ahead.
objective, your objective is to not think for 30 minutes.
Okay.
But if you
So
start thinking, then you broke the objective. And
right.
it shows you have no control of your mind. It shows your thought that those thoughts came somewhere else. It wasn't yours, because you would know the objective is not to think for 30 minutes.
I can dig that, and I will continue to try to do that. In fact, today I laid down in the back of the van, and I'm trying to let go of the five senses, you know, and see what happens. So not hear anything, see anything. smell anything, taste anything, feel anything, right? And just close my eyes and focus on nothingness and see how quiet it can get. Well, actually, today I dozed off doing that. But do you know that somebody threw, those orange traffic cones, right? So I'm parked in a parking lot. Somebody threw one of those on the hood of my van, which kind of startled me, right? And woke me up. And I moved the curtain to the side, and boom, there's an orange cone sitting on my hood, right? That somebody had just tossed up there. So, and I still have nerve damage from the surgery. So it's really tough to kind of get out of the body, but I'll continue to try that. So what you just said, I will heed and I will try to practice. I will try to, because people talk about the secret teachings of Jesus and letting go of the five senses and it's all in your mind. I'll see if I can control that. In other words, not have a phone and not think about clipping my nails or think about picking flowers, just let everything go. I'll see what happens. But at some point, if that don't shake out, I gotta find the ocean somewhere. So I will.
Yeah.
I heard what you said, and I will try to do that. But if I'm doing that and I got nerve damage in my face and somebody's throwing a rock at my van, come on now.
No, here's the thing. I'm not saying don't think at all, because you will receive positive or negative thoughts. Okay, we all do. It's up to you to decide if you want to continue thinking on the positive thoughts or continue thinking on the negative thoughts. So you have the option to decide which type of thoughts you want to continue thinking about. So like clipping your nails, yeah, those are hygiene related. Yeah, those are, I would consider positive thoughts, and you should do them. And the exercise I was talking about is only try not to think for 30 minutes.
I
And
got
within that
you.
and
Let
within that
those.
30 minutes, see
Uh,
what the reason for this exercise is, for you to recognize, for you to become aware that these other ideas coming into your head have been negative and you kind of been buying into it. Like for instance, you bought into the idea that you don't care about working no more. Yeah, I know a lot of bad things happen to you in life, but you still need to fight through it. You're just gonna have to battle it and fight through it, and stop thinking that way, and
I, I
actually do want to work and make some money so you can get food, at least food for yourself. Okay, you can go get free food at places that give out food. Okay, um, but what about the gas for your car? I mean, no, there's no place that gives out
exactly.
free gas.
Exactly. It takes real money. And I'm pretty resilient, right? So and resourceful. So I've already done some of the things you're talking about because my money's been very, very thin. So I've already accepted, assistance and stuff like that, uh, getting food. But you do need to maintain your vehicle. And another thing that's part of this whole BS is it's just too much. It's just too much at this point, man. It's just a joke at this point. So I was at a rest stop. This is before I got the Sprinter. This is after. No, this is before the guy came around and asked me what I'm about to do. But this is after I quit my job. It wasn't a job; it was my own business. But it was after I walked out on that and turned in my notice. I rented a car and drove down to Southern California. I'm at a rest stop in Southern California, and I could put it on a map if I had a map in front of me. And a car comes behind me, flashing its lights while I'm parked at the rest stop. It parks behind me and just starts flashing its lights, right? Which is extraordinarily rude because the lights shine, swell up in the car and you get to turn your rear view mirror. You're trying to sleep. I didn't even know there was a car there, but some kind of woke me up. So, anyways, that car drives away. I didn't even trip. Just do whatever you do. You're stalking me. Cool. I see you. You see me. Another car comes up and does it about 5 minutes after the first car came. Right now, this car, when it decides to leave, it pulls by me slowly, and they had this little stupid grin on their face. Right. So then I cut my car on, like, all right, I'm gonna follow this car. Wherever you going, I'm gonna go. We'll talk about what you're doing. Um, and as soon as I pull out on the highway, I didn't even pull out on the highway. Leaving the rest stop, I'm at a zero speed. A car hits me out of nowhere, and I swear, if this thing didn't come from another dimension, then it had its lights off, because you can see a car coming at night on a highway. And I'm telling you, this car just smacked the front of my car and sent me spinning. I was doing zero. This car's doing 65 or so. And related to that was all this financial responsibility because I was found at fault, all this other BS. So if you can just keep throwing hurdles at me like that, and the stuff that I've dealt with the IRS, like for instance, just to give you an idea why I'm done with money, I had the IRS knock on my door one year, like 2016, right? They knock on my door and leave a card, okay? And I have to go down and meet the IRS in downtown San Jose, California. And it turns out they were looking for a couple $1,000,000 because my business, which was completely on the up and up, my merchant processor who takes credit card swipes, they were filing what I forget what it's called, 1099s on my social security number. So while I'm filing taxes for the business, the IRS thinks I'm making the same amount of money personally and not reporting it, which is not true. The merchant processor was at fault. They should only have been letting the IRS know about what the business was making, because the account was open with an EIN, not my social security number. But it was an S corporation. But anyways, so we go through this whole process, the IRS and I, in this meeting, which was very bizarre, including an elevator with no buttons, all this kind of BS. And we get it all sorted out. And I actually have an email exchange with the lady, and she goes, okay, I see what happened. It's a very simple error. Those 3 years, the income was reported by your business, so you don't have to report it as with your social security. I was supposed to get K-1 statements, and I was an employee of an S corp. So I turn in those 3 years of tax returns. Everything's sorted out. 4 years later, this is like 2019, 2020. I call the IRS because I keep getting these notices that my address has changed, and I didn't initiate no change of address, right? So I call the IRS and I'm like, man, I don't know who keeps changing these addresses, but my address has not changed. And the IRS goes, hey, we're missing those tax years. I think it was 14, 15, and 16. I said, wait a second. No, 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 no. I met with so-and-so representative downtown San Jose. I have email exchanges of those tax returns being submitted. And they're saying, the lady on the phone, the IRS rep, she goes, well, I don't know what you think. This isn't a conspiracy or anything. So they go, okay, look, I have documentation that these tax returns were submitted. I have an IRS representative email address, which is very difficult to get, which I didn't want to have, but I had through the course of these meetings, of them being accepted and approved. So now you're telling me 4 years later you have no record of them? She says, okay, well, just resubmit the same tax returns, which I do. But along with that, now they're considered late. So you have a $2,600 penalty for each year. So 3 times 26, it was something like $7,800 or something like that. Just for them now being late, even though they're exact same tax returns. I didn't change anything but the date at the bottom, not even the signature. So if you can just hit me out of nowhere with a car, cause me $20,000 in damages and play with my valid license, and then you can just all of a sudden willy-nilly lose a tax return again, which I have email documentation that they were submitted and accepted. I'm not gonna keep going to work. You got to be kidding me, especially considering what I deal with my professional experiences. Just like we're playing this weird game of charades. When I owned my own business, there were times when a person, there's one night where a guy was parked outside my business an hour after the business was closed. And then I went out and I did this like little funny move. This is before I was even considering gang stalking. I knew something was up. I went out, I went around the building, and all of a sudden he walked around the bushes and was peeking from behind the bushes at me. And then when I confronted on it like a couple days later, he was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh yeah, I was here. I was just using the bathroom in the bushes. Like, what? So look, I'm not gonna go through these little funky Curious George scenarios trying to go to work, and then at any point somebody can send me a letter and say I owe them some money, or they could ran a vehicle into me and now I'm $20,000 in debt. I'm good, man. I'm gonna pass on that.
Well,
That,
here's the
that
thing.
that's what I mean by not going with money. I mean, those are just some of the stories, but it's just ridiculous what I go through trying to make money. So I'm not gonna try to kick that football no more. You can forget about that.
Well, see, people go through struggles in life, and there's no time machine, so we can't go back in time and change the tax thing for you. I mean, all you can do right now is just move forward. And
So yeah, but
it
what
seems
if the
like,
I'm not. You can't move forward, bro. If you run faster and they turn the treadmill up faster, you're not going anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, if the IRS can just send me a letter out of nowhere and say, you know what, we lost your tax return. I don't want to see the email. I don't want to see the documentation. We just lost it. Sorry, you owe us $7,200. Just out of nowhere. Okay. I can go to a doctor's office. He can cut a piece of my body off. I walk out of there. He says, hey, go get an attorney, dude. So, well, you didn't say you were going to cut this piece off. I don't care. Get out of here. Get an attorney. Like, I'm not, come on, man. Like, what are we talking about? I'm supposed to garden? I'm supposed to go work at FedEx, get off work and go garden or something? Like, what are we talking about?
yeah, I mean,
You know?
those are tough situations. I mean, and I'm sure a lot of TIs don't go through what you went through. And I mean, what can we really do? There's no time
Yeah,
machine.
exactly. I'm looking for the ocean, my man. And if nothing else presents itself, then death has got to be the ocean. It's got to be. So
Well, you're gonna still need to continue living and
I
battle
don't
these
know.
things.
Everybody dies, bro. That's the one truth that I know about my life. And I don't know what comes after that, but everybody dies. I can tell you this though. I've had an innate feeling in my body since I was a kid. I was born in San Francisco. I remember driving through the streets of San Francisco in the passenger seat, obviously, as a small child looking up, going, man, none of this shit makes any sense. All these buildings don't make sense. None of this makes any sense. I remember having these dreams of wanting to crush up all the concrete and shoot it into space and we'll start all over and all this kind of stuff. But the one thing I always held in my heart was, you know what, man, when this is all over with, everything gets explained. You know, I always used to think that this is just a movie that you're gonna have to rewatch with your friends, like a game or something. So, I still have resounding faith that after death, all is good, all is not bad. In other words, everything is revealed, or another truth is revealed, or truths are revealed, and
Let
I
me tell
still
you this.
hold that. So I'm not
You're right.
scared of
You're
that.
right about that. Okay, after once you're dead, you'll see the truth. But let me tell you though, I got a feeling once you know the truth, you gonna eventually gonna feel like you want to go back and play the game again if you had
That
the very
might be the
chance.
that might be the
So
case.
you might start thinking, man, you shouldn't have ended the game so early when you could have
That
went back and played the
that
game
might be the
again.
case. And I've been pushing as hard as I can, man. I've been pushing as hard as I can. I've looked for a lot of answers. I found absolutely no truths. You know what I mean? And there's just too much information at this point. I mean, you've got Dead Sea Scrolls and Hebrew text all the way up to New Agers talking about fifth dimension ascension. And it's just too much. It's just too much. So I'm going to look within because maybe that's the only way out. Um, and I'm going to try to sit there, like you said, for more and extended periods of time and just meditate and not think and that kind of stuff. Um, but if something don't shake out here soon enough, I'm gonna hop off and we can reboot it. And I'm okay with that because life has not been all bad. You know, you can hear me smiling through the phone right now. Life has not been all bad. So,
Well,
you
it sounds
know,
like okay, you're a smart person, you're educated. All you need is just change a little bit of your philosophy, okay, to turn everything around. That's all you really need. Just that little bit of change in your mentality, and you can turn everything around. And first thing you need is you have to find work that you enjoy. Okay, you don't want to go to 9 to 5. That's fine, but at least do something that can generate income for you. With that income, you can get that 360 camera like you wanted, or put gas in your car. You know, you're gonna need to do something, and I recommend you at least try to pick up one hobby, maybe a hobby that doesn't cost money, that you enjoy, and start doing that. And try to prevent your mind from thinking so negatively. And if you do get negative thoughts like, oh, they're harassing me, block it. You know, block it. Or you can even try talking shit in your mind, like what I've been teaching in my videos. Talk trash in your mind and see if that harassment will calm down a little bit. Because one thing I know based on my experience with my gang stalkers is ignoring them, they just keep doing what they're doing and it gets worse. But when I start talking trash, they settle down.
hmm,
Okay. And it takes a lot of energy talking trash inside my mind for a long time. So I do the audio thing. You should try using your phone and do one of those audios, you know, talking trash to the gang stalkers and put on loop and repeat, okay, low volume. Just try that method and go to sleep with that on and see if it changes anything.
yeah. Well, I'll try talking trash. You know, I've talked trash physically out loud and in my head too. So, um, I'll see what that does. Personally, I'd rather not interact with the people following me, like the gentleman parked across the street, right, or lady, I don't know, in this white van. I'd rather not deal with that, you know. I'm done running, right? So in
Okay.
other words, I'm done going around the corner and waiting for the next vehicle, which is inevitably going to come. Um, you know, but it is incredibly invasive, especially the audio stuff. You know, like when they do the loud music or somebody come blowing leaf next to. I'm the only person in the world who hears landscaping every day of their life. I mean, literally, bro, at midnight, somebody will come around with a leaf blower. I have 2 videos of that, different areas, just
Do you listen
bizarre
to
stuff.
music at all when you're by yourself?
Not much anymore,
Do you
man.
have any
Not much.
headphones?
I do
Earplugs?
have headphones. Yeah, I
You
do. And
should
I
you
got
should plug your
earplugs too.
ears, plug your ears and listen to some music. Like that helps. Here, why don't we answer some of these? There's a lot of comments, and I think people they are concerned. They do want to help you. So let's go through the.
Yeah,
What do you
2
think?
things real quick. Sometimes the signal that I'm getting from you is a little distorted. So give me some time if you don't hear a reply. The second thing is I can't see any of the comments or any of that stuff. So if you'll read them out, we'll get through them. And then the last thing, actually, I should have said 3 things is I can only do this for a few more minutes, man.
Okay, okay. Let's go through a couple of them. Okay, okay? Here's Can you read the screen? Do you see the message on the screen?
No, I don't.
Okay. Let's just go through some of them. You only have a few more minutes, huh?
Yeah, I gave it. I mean, like maybe 20. Oh, there, I found the comment button. Yeah, I don't want to be here all night long, and I take care of this little sick animal. I want to take her outside.
Oh, you have a sick animal. Okay, so let me tell you, when you're taking care of your sick animal and you're looking at the animal, does it relaxes you?
It does, except for I can't help her, so that hurts. You know what I mean? But
But you are helping her. You're taking care of it.
yeah, but I can't cure what she's dealing with. I've done the best I could. I took her to several vets. I spent some money that I don't have on it, and I got some help at a place that does it for free if you qualify. But we just got some bad news last week, and what she's dealing with, I can't cure.
Well, don't be too harsh on yourself. At least you tried. Am I right?
I am trying, and I want to try again tonight. I like to take her out on walks at night. She likes to go out. So.
Well, that's very nice of you. That's all you can do for now. I mean, there's nothing much you can do. It's out of your power. Then just do what you can. Do you agree that it makes you okay? Makes you feel good because seems like you don't feel good doing nothing all the time. Do you agree when you don't do anything, it just makes you depressed?
Well, or bored,
Yeah, exactly.
circumstantially depressed, which is a thing. Yes, but I never changed my like, oh, why me or poor me, or I want the world to burn up, because I don't. You know what I'm saying? And I should add about taking care of the cat. It's reciprocal. I get just as much benefit. I do it because it makes me feel good, right? So it's not all about extending. So in other words, a truly selfish act would be to do something that hurts you, in my opinion, right? Like if you said to me, hey, cut off your arm so that I can earn some money, that's a selfless act, right? But if you said take care of a sick animal that then shows you love back, that's not selfless. That's reciprocal. So it's not like it's some saintly act that I'm doing. um, Saintly or selfless, those are very difficult acts to accomplish to me, because you have to sacrifice.
Okay. You know you're giving a lot of your energy into this game stalking, right? You do you realize you need to put that energy somewhere else, something
uh,
that's more positive for yourself?
Totally agree, which is one reason why I stopped uh taking videos, and just stop really trying to notice them. In other words, if they're floating around in front of my windshield while I'm parked, then I just draw the curtains. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
but then they throw a cone on my car. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, that sucks. But don't let that situation hold you down though. I mean,
yeah,
that
okay.
happened is it's not normal, it's uncommon. I never had that experience before, someone threw a comb at my car, but don't let that don't let it stay in your mind. Don't let that experience hold you back. Just move on from that.
Yeah,
It'll
well,
be
I
best
didn't do anything. I just moved a cone off my car and moved, to the other side of the
exactly. Just
parking
laugh
lot.
it off. Laugh it off.
So,
Exactly.
but it's kind of hard. You trying to get rid of the 5 senses and lucid dream and all that, and somebody, basically knocks you out of it, and then you pull the curtain back and there's a cone on the hood of your van. It's
At
like
some
it's
point, I
comical,
I
man.
know you're gonna keep fighting, and I know you will get better. Okay, you will get better. But it's you're one of those people that can handle tough situations. And if it comes to you, uh, you will be able to take care of the situation. Okay, I know you're able to do that. So don't wait till all your money runs out before you start thinking about how to get more money to pay for the gas. You should just plan it now. Just
Yeah,
start doing that
well,
now. Because I
okay.
know you don't want to like live on the streets because that's not you, because you're smarter than that and you're educated. You don't belong on the streets. So do planning now and get that money so you can put gas in your car and start turning things around.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that. I'll put some thought to it. But as far as the money thing, I'm already very close to the end, you know. So, but
Do you see
what's up with,
yourself living on the street?
huh?
Do you see yourself living on the street?
Oh, nah, man. I'm not gonna be sleeping on the street. It's cold. It's already cold in the van. I'm not gonna be sleeping on the street, man. I'll pass on that.
Exactly.
We could go sit on the sidelines and wait for the war to end. But let's get through some of these comments, or if you have any comments and advice for me, and we'll see what happens as far as the money situation.
Well, my advice really is you just gotta have to find a job
Nah,
and
that's
get your
not gonna
money.
happen. That's
Well,
not
then
gonna happen, bro. And I've done volunteer work at daycares. You know what I mean? Like I really enjoyed working with kids and stuff. I
do
and,
that.
and there are things that I enjoy, but I'm not going to work, bro. I'm not. That's it. That's off the table. That is a non-negotiable. I can't say it any clearer than I would rather die than trade an hour of my life for work. For one, I decided 20 years ago I was never going to, or 15, yeah, a little over 15 now, that I will never work for somebody else because I realized money was a farce then. I realized that it's just a trick. So I decided, you know what? I'm not going to work for anybody else. Everything I'm going to do is entrepreneurial. And I'm out of ideas, and every business I get just gets absolutely just destroyed by these outside forces. And, you know, if you can't get me with a business partner or a customer, then you're going to get me with the IRS, or I'm not dealing with all that stuff no
Okay.
more.
So what you need to do is grab a piece of paper and a pen so you can write out your game plan and actually be able to visually look at it. Because I know with TIs, okay, based on my experience, we could be talking about all these different things and we go all over the place.
But I
And
don't, I'm out of ideas when it comes to money, and I don't mean to cut you off and be rude, but I've put together 60-page business plans before with 3 years of pro forma data. So
well,
I
right now,
understand writing out plans and stuff. I don't have any more business ideas. I'm out of
no,
ideas,
no.
man.
I'm not talking about writing business plan. I'm talking about writing about your life situation and a short term plan for the next 6 months or for the next three
Okay,
months. A game
what
plan for the next 3 months.
I'll
And
put some energy into that.
yes, you do need to put some energy. And what the game stalkers do is they drain our energy. And
Yeah,
a lot of energy are being drained in our mind, thinking about a bunch of different things. I used to do that. I used to think about all kinds of things. I used to watch a lot of conspiracy videos, all different topics. But when it comes down to it, how are those things helping me in life? Which they don't. And you need to focus on something that's more closer to you and something that can help you in a short term, like for the next 3 months. You don't need a business right now. You can just go find any type of work, at Starbucks, McDonald's, wherever, Ross, Walmart, night shift
here,
at Walmart, whatever. Like if you can
here,
find
here's my problem with that, and I don't mean to cut you off, but man, I'm firm on this, man. When you accept a job like that, let's say you accept a job at Walmart and you make $18 an hour, which I don't know if that's what they make or what have you. Um, you are now saying that your life is worth $18 for an hour of it, and to me, an hour of my life is priceless, bro. So I'm not gonna trade that for $18. I'm not,
well,
and I'm not gonna
you're
go
not
do
gonna be
some.
working there for the rest of your life. You're only gonna be working there for the next 3 to 6 months to get your money going. Maybe
I
you might
see.
even like the people there. Who knows? And then you're gonna find a better job, right? Or you can during that 3 to 6 months, you can do a business plan or upload videos on YouTube of your gang stalking. Get that 360 cameras, put gas in your car, set up the inverter so you can get a wired camera system so you can install the cameras all corners of your van, right? Hooked up to a hard drive inside your van, and then you have 24/7 footage.
I like that. I like that idea. I like that idea. Because one thing is for sure, I could prove gang stalking. I'm not talking about invisible stuff. I don't care if people want to say it's lower V2K controlling these people or they're organic portals or demons. I don't care about all that. That's all speculation. I am being followed. So I could be somebody who could prove gang stalking. I don't know if there's anybody else here to prove it to based on what I've experienced. But I do like that idea because I could easily prove gangster. I know a lot of people get on and they theorize and they talk and this and that. I could prove I am being stalked. It's that
Yeah,
simple.
and
It's
that's good,
that
and that's
simple.
one of your purpose. And then once you have the evidence, you should take it to a news outlet or the
Nah,
police, because the
nah.
news outlet can really make this a big thing for you, and that would probably make you feel so good
From
that you can prove it.
whatever I'm facing is either everybody is in on it or a vast majority, like well over 90% of the people, quote unquote, walking around. Whatever I'm
Well,
dealing with, it's crazy. And I it's just crazy, man. And that I
well,
don't want
let's
to get
just
too
deal with what you can deal with, because you can't answer for all the people that you believe are involved, because you're gonna need to hear from them, and they're not gonna tell you that, right? So there's no point in thinking about that. What you
okay.
can do is get those video footage that you know you can get. So if you can have 4 cameras mounted on your van 24/7,
Or
no
one
break.
360 camera. You know the 360 cameras? That's what I was envisioning.
But the
Those are the ones.
360 camera, you got to think about how can you get 24/7 footage on a 360 camera though?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't know. I don't know if you can or can't. I don't know the deal with
Maybe
that.
you
But I,
can buy some, but then you would still need them hooked up to a hard drive with, like, a couple of terabytes, so you can have many days of 24/7 footage before it get recorded over it. You know what I mean?
I got you.
Continuous recording, because only that is the true evidence for all TIs out there. If you're listening, the only true evidence to prove gang stalking is you need footage that are 24/7 with no breaks, no editing, no breaks, just
Exactly.
continuous footage.
Exactly. Because you don't know who got here first. But what you can
Exactly.
start to do is prove that the laws of probability are being violated. It's no longer coincidence. It is likely connected. They're just you cannot always pull over and have a car pull over behind you, and you'll start to notice patterns in the people's posture and what they're actually doing inside their vehicle, which is oftentimes staring at a cell phone. Um, it's just it's strikingly obvious, right? It would be strikingly obvious that I'm being followed. So that might be a goal I put towards. Is there any other questions or comments
Um,
that you
can
want
you
to
read
get
on the
to?
screen?
Huh?
Can you read the comment on the screen?
You know what is I got to where I could see them, but it's really hard for me to read them on my phone.
Hmm.
Like I don't
People
know if
just
I
make
need glasses or
well,
what. But,
like I myself, I'm gonna need to get off soon because I have no idea we're gonna be talking this long.
right.
But listening to your story, it really makes me feel like I want to be able to see you get better, and I think you will get better. But one thing that's really blocking you is you're fixed on the idea that you don't want to work anymore.
Yeah.
If you can
You're saying
relax
that.
that idea
No.
and actually really do go out there and do a little side work, whatever, to get some income, that'd be great. That would change everything around for you.
Yeah. I'll consider that. But
Okay.
yeah, it would have to be toward a means towards an end, and I don't know what the end would be. Maybe the cameras and setting up a YouTube channel or something. And to any, if there are any other TIs out there in the world, I don't want to basically dismiss your experiences or your truths. I'm open to the possibility that there are other TIs. It's very hard for me to understand how the phenomenon can go on for so long and there's no documentation. I saw a guy who put up some shaky vertical videos on Reddit, and he's talking about he hired a PI and he's at a hotel that's $500 a night. And if you're staying at a hotel, what are you just going on along with your life? Like, nah, everything is full stop for me. Once I figured out I was being stalked, I'm not just gonna go stay at a hotel and try to live normally. I would put all my resources into exposing this. So it just doesn't add up to me. So if there are other TIs, again, I don't mean to dismiss your truths or dismiss the horrors that you're dealing with. If some of the things I've read and found online are true that are reported,
then maybe I have it light. You know, maybe I'm complaining for just being stalked, and people are getting hit with lasers and voices in their head, and people even talk about being invisibly raped and all this kind of stuff. So if that's really happening, I feel for you. I feel bad. It's just, to me, the gang stalking phenomenon would be so easy to prove that it's like, it's almost like, why? Who am I actually proving it to? That's the greater question.
Let me tell you, what we're dealing with here, it's more advanced than humans. Okay, it's in another realm, but
Yeah,
it's
I believe that.
interacting in a physical world,
I believe that.
and that's why it's always one step ahead of the community. Okay, but once you realize what they are, there are methods to lessen the harassment, and it's different for each TI based on where they live and which area they're in, because some areas and places are just way more strong. And to me, it sounds like in your area, it could be very strong because, like you say, you go to random spots and cars will be there when cars shouldn't be there. Well, the gang stalkers can control everybody, okay, in their mind. They can manipulate their mind to think a certain way. So it's very possible for you to go somewhere, but also the gang stalkers are manipulating other drivers. All of a sudden, start thinking about going to these other places, and they'll end up going to places where you are. And then it could also manipulate your mind to start thinking that, oh, that car that just showed up is the gang stalkers.
Yeah,
You
but
see what I'm saying?
how do you get on a locked storage property at midnight and not just snap out of it and go, man, what am I doing here? I don't even have a storage locker here, or the gate is closed. How did I get in here? You see what I'm saying? Like,
Well,
that's
the
that's a little
thoughts
bit.
is your thought pattern. Whatever it's leading up to your thought pattern got you there and also got you thinking that way and wondering what's, why is that car there or whatever after hours. So, but you could think about anything else you want. But why do you have to think about that specific sequence of thoughts?
Because
So
it
that's what you
pulls
should
up.
question.
I'm parked on the street. It pulls down the storage row that I'm parked on that faces me and sits with its lights on my van at night. Or, for instance, I was in was it Davenport, California, which is just north of Santa Cruz. I was there a couple weeks ago. I'm standing on the beach, and it's a cliff. I'm not actually down on the beach. I'm on a cliff. And you can go look at it on Google Maps, Davenport Pier. I'm standing there looking out at the ocean. I'm like, there's no way anything can come into my vision right now. And sure enough, a truck across Highway 1 from this little industrial plant parks, which is a security guard, I assume, for this property, with its high beams pointed on me. Like the Truman Show when he was getting rained on just in the one spot on the beach. This is at almost midnight, maybe even midnight,
Okay,
right?
get this.
And all of a
Get
sudden,
this.
I'm flooded in lights, and
Get
I'm
this.
standing.
Get
You
this.
see what I'm saying? So, and you say,
I
don't
know what
think
you're
about
saying.
it. Well, what do you mean, don't think about it?
But get
I got
this.
a
Get this. Get
spotlight
this.
on me.
Get this. The thought that came in and it made you think there's no way someone could show up at this hour, right?
Well,
That thought that came in.
I didn't go out there thinking that. It wasn't an anti this. It was like, oh, let me go out here now because it's peaceful, right? There aren't
I know
30 people,
exactly.
30
But
people
here's the
standing
thing.
around my van with looking at their phone.
Here's the thing, though. You went out there, okay? But at that moment when you had the thought of, well, there's no way someone could show up now, and all of a sudden someone showed up,
Well,
that was
no,
that was
I don't
planned.
think I don't think I was thinking that, right? So it happened another that same parking
So the
spot,
thought came in.
but only after and looking back on it. It's not like I was like
Exactly.
waiting in
Good.
my van, like, oh, let me pop out here because there's nobody there now.
Now let me ask you. Let me ask you. You weren't thinking about it. How did that thought came in?
The light came on my back. That's how. Because all of a sudden it went from dark to a spotlight is on me.
Okay. So a light came in and you see a light. Why do you have to think about that specifically?
I mean, what are you talking about? If you're standing somewhere at nighttime and a spotlight gets shined on you, what are you? I mean, what
Well,
are you
you don't
talking
have to
about?
think about it. You can just look at the light and try to wait and see where the car going. You don't have to think about.
It didn't go anywhere. He parked there, shining his lights across Highway 1 out into the ocean, essentially at my back. I moved
Okay.
maybe five or 10 feet to the left or the right, either way, and the car adjusted so that the light was on me again. I'm telling you, it's
So
like that little cloud of rain that was hitting Truman when he was on the beach. I'm telling you. I wish it would be
so
some magical stuff like that, right? Because I'm kind of
so
tired of
I'm
the
saying
headlights.
I'm saying what trigger your mind to think it's gang stalking related right off the bat?
Because it's improbable. That's the second night that it happened. The other time was maybe couple hundred yards further down the beach or the cliff, because you got to walk down to the beach, but the cliff. I was standing out there at night again, and a construction or Caltrans or whatever worker pulls up in his truck and shines the light on me. Pulls up with his headlights, just shine right on me. So in other words, it goes from pitch black at night, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. I'm standing out on a cliff, and all of a sudden there's another truck with their lights exactly on me.
So the Caltrain worker, is it possible it's just doing its working out there?
Man, look, if it happens once, yes. If it happens everywhere you go, come on. I'm telling you, if I put the camera up, you would say the exact same thing. You say,
But
all
here's
right.
the thing. No, here's the thing. I'm
No.
trying to get you to understand. Right away, your mind was put into the idea of gang stalking related, because you could think about anything you want, right? You can think about anything you want. It's something else is directing your thoughts to gang stalking.
The light shining on me. After a little while, you got to go, okay, I'm being stalked, right? And that's not the one shining example, because any of these one single events does not lead or prove to anything. It's when it happens consistently. In other words, if I get out right now and start walking down this industrial road where you should see nothing moving right now, something bizarre will happen. A car will pull up and pull over right next to me, which has happened just the other night. Or two people will come walking behind the building, pointing and talking super loud, these over exaggerated hand gestures. So, and at some point you got to go, okay, this is, and you say, don't, just ignore it. Okay, I'm standing on the beach, chilling at night, and lights are shining on me. What am I supposed to do? You say ignore it. It's all of a sudden flooding me in the ocean and the highway all at once. It's bizarre, So, and the weird thing about the second time that truck, a different truck, the security guard guy shined his light on me, is I walked off of the cliff across Highway 1 and started walking onto that property. And he just laid on his horn, just bah! And then when I got within about 30 yards of him, he reversed. Now, mind you, I couldn't have got to him physically. I would have had to go up about a 15-20 foot dirt hill and then hop like a barbed wire fence. So I'm not going to get to you, buddy. So
Well,
it's just strange stuff like that, man.
Golden Bear, here's the thing. I'm trying to get you to understand that you need to start paying attention to these initial thoughts that comes in. Like, for instance, in the beginning of this live stream, you said a white van pulled up behind you, and you associate the van with gang stalkers.
Yeah,
So you're going to need to recognize, why are these thoughts coming in immediately, and it's gang stalking related. Where are these thoughts coming from? Because they're not generated by you, okay? You're actually listening to something else feeding you ideas and thoughts, and it's always been gang stalking. So
I see what you're saying. I got what you're saying, but it doesn't change the fact that this van is only parked here because I'm parked here.
Well, you don't know what they're doing though. Like, you don't know if maybe they have night shift or what. That's why
that person just got in the back of the van. When I got out with my camera, so I saw their feet from the other side. They got in the back, just like last night. I knew somebody was in there because they made a noise, and the cat knew that somebody was in that van. It kind of startled the cat.
Well, I know in industrial areas, a lot of people, they have RVs or they live out of their RV.
Yeah, but you can't. Every street you park on can't have somebody park behind you. You just can't do it on every street every time. It just every street every time. Even streets where you're not supposed to have parking, over 6 feet high, I'll go there. Boom, somebody pulls up right behind me. I mean, it can't happen every time. That violent. And let me just say like this: I could prove I'm being stalked, because you would watch my video and you go, okay, maybe that's a coincidence. Okay, oh no. You start to go, oh no, that's not a coincidence, right? I'm a pretty rational guy. I'm not talking about death rays and lasers and shadows. I'm talking about I am being stalked and followed. For instance, the other night, I just made an abrupt right turn. No pre-thought, no thinking. I wasn't headed that way. I turned right. The street that I ended up turning on was just a giant U, and it links back up with the street I had turned off of. So there's no outlets. But as soon as I yanked that right, the car behind me yanked the right too. And I pulled over. I immediately pulled over. Now, this I have on dash cam. I pulled over while I'm still on this U street. That car kept going, and then I pulled back out. That car went all the way around the U, got back to the street that we both just came off of, and then it continued on the way that it was going. And then when it realized I was following them, it just pulled over to the side of the road, maybe a block later, and just stopped. Right?
Well,
And if you see that one time, you go, oh well, maybe they just made a right, coincidentally. But if you see that 100 times, you'd be like, okay, this is defying the laws of probability. This guy is being followed by a group of people, and I use that word loosely, of an unknown association for purposes unbeknownst to me. And I think if you looked closely at the video documentation, you'd start to realize that this is not a human network as I know human to be. They are not communicating with emails or phones or text messages or walkie-talkies. They are not all pulling over to some Masonic lodge to have one light turned off. They don't have wig-wag switches where they can cut one light off. There is something very strange that is, quote unquote, controlling them.
yes,
And they are
yes.
following me. And that
You are right about that one. Let's just let's end there. You're absolutely right about that one. And like I said, these are other entities that are more powerful. Okay, they're more advanced. And until then, okay, I recommend you just getting your life back slowly and get that job like we agree, like, or you think is a good idea for the next 3 to 6 months. That 3 to 6 months game plan, so you can get all the things you need and necessities. That's the best approach for now. And I'm sorry to cut you off, but I have to end this stream because I haven't eaten dinner yet. And
yeah, I got to go too, man. But I do appreciate your time and your advice.
yeah, and I want you to get better, Golden Bear, and I hope you will start thinking more positively and think less of gang stalking and give people benefit of the doubt. If they're not physically attacking you, for the next 3 to 6 months, then just try to relax yourself and let some of those thoughts go. Don't think too deep into it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna attack anybody that doesn't attack me, right? So if you park next to me, I'm not gonna go physically hurt you. Now,
Exactly.
you start throwing stuff at my van, and all bets are off. You know what I'm saying? So
Well, I still recommend you film them throwing stuff at you and then just let the police handle it. If you film them throwing stuff, then that's real crime evidence.
right. Yeah,
But
let's go to
if you
the
don't
police.
catch them in the act, then you really are just kind of restricted from having the police help you.
I do understand that, and I don't think
Yeah.
the police are here to help me at all. I got documentation of that, right? So I don't even want to go down that road. I appreciate your time. Maybe we can do this again sometime. We'll see.
Oh yeah, we will.
I'll put some thought into some of the things that you've shared with me and see if I can find kind of a track or a path to take.
Yeah, you do. We'll have an update on your situation in the future, near future. Okay.
Right on. Will you take it easy?
All right, you too, Golden Bear. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. All the
Thank you.
best.
Have a good night. You too.
You
Bye.
too.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining me. And I'm sorry that I can't answer all your comments. This stream's been going on for too long. And, but it's okay because Golden Bear is going through something and I want to help him and I want to see him get better. And I know a lot of the viewers, based on your comments, you are feeling the same. You want to help him and you want him to get better. So thank you for joining me. Remember, no fear. Sumo signing out.